which was just full of Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I'm going to bring in Anna Almeida right away. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. I like that we can end this on a Friday, opposite how we began it. Beginning of the week, I was calling for these Epstein files to be released, and now, based on the events of the last 24 hours, it looks like they're going to be released.
But I thought they were fake. I thought it was a hoax. How are there things to be released? I'm very confused.
Right. Quick update on everything that's gone on. So the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch. I thought Rupert Murdoch at one point liked Trump. I don't know why he's doing this. But all day yesterday, there were these rumors swirling. The Wall Street Journal is going to put out a massive thing, and it's evidence, and everybody is going to see that Trump and Epstein are connected. They thought they had a smoking gun. And they put out this weird letter. It was part of a collection of letters that were written to Epstein for his 50th birthday. And they claimed that one of them was from Trump. If you've been listening throughout the week, let's talk about balance and bias here. You know that I do not have any time for Donald Trump right now. Until he releases the Epstein files, I don't care. But I'm still going to call him the way I see him. And if I'm calling balls and strikes, that is nothing but a hit piece that came out by the Wall Street Journal. And I don't believe that Trump wrote that. I'll give you just a small example. One of the many reasons that I don't think that was fair, what they put out. And I don't even think Trump wrote it. It used some words in there that Trump doesn't use. Enigma. One of the things in that letter that he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein used the word enigma. And I remember when I read it the first time thinking, it's a weird word for Trump to use. I doubt he even knows what it means.
Thank goodness you said that, because that's honestly what I thought.
Right. I'm an English guy. I'm a vocabulary guy. Yeah. I like English, and even I don't use enigma very often.
No.
It's a strange word to use, especially to a buddy on his 50th birthday.
Yeah.
So somebody did the hard work. They asked AI to go through all of Trump's speeches over the years, all of his published writings, his books, go through everything we have on Donald Trump. And tell me how many times he's used the word enigma. The answer is 0. He's never once used that word. And that's just one of the reasons that I think what the Wall Street Journal put out is fake. It was put out to try and pressure Trump, I guess, or try and tie Trump to Epstein. And I'm sure there's a lot of ties between Trump and Epstein.
Yes.
But that is not it. That is not the smoking gun. And I have a feeling the Wall Street Journal is about to get the CBS treatment. They're going to get sued to kingdom come. Yeah. And they should. They should, because Trump phoned them and warned them. What you're planning to publish here is not from me. It's not true. I'll sue the hell out of you if you do it. They published it anyway, and they got some attention. I mean, there's people talking about the WSJ. I am right here.
It caught my attention for sure, but I agree with you. The wording just didn't seem like it came from somebody like him.
That's right. I didn't think that one was real. But you can tell now that Trump, maybe a bit of foreshadowing this week, he says that the Democrats are using the Epstein thing to try and make him look bad. And maybe you don't understand the nuances of it. I don't. If you don't worry. I'm right there with you. I don't get it either. How they apparently created this incredible thing to loop Trump in with Epstein and never used it. But now that this came out and it's obvious what's happening on the left, I think that Trump is now ready to go. So last night, he ordered the Attorney General to release whatever she can from the grand jury testimony. Is that it? I want to say this right. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein. So again, he's still belittling this. Yeah. Get out of here. He says, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony, subject to court approval. This scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. Donald, it will end. It will end when you release the files. That's all you've got to do. And if there's nothing here, if there's no smoking gun on your end, you shouldn't have a problem doing it.
Yeah, this shouldn't be as big of a deal to you as it is to us, because clearly there is something. If you're saying release whatever you got, there's stuff to be released. Like, give me a break already, buddy.
I just want the files.
Yeah.
I just want to know who did what to kids, and then I want to know what we're going to do to prosecute them.
Yeah.
They have to be held accountable. They have to.
They're pedophiles. They need to be held accountable. Those kids didn't deserve that.
So this is going to carry on today. It may even be carrying on now as you're listening to this episode. It'll carry on throughout the weekend and into next week. There's lots of time to talk about it. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. Okay. Trump kind of seeming a little bit guilty, still protesting greatly, but saying he's going to release the files. Good.
see.
That's what we want.
We'll see.
There is another thing in the news, though, and this has got a lot of attention. It has to do with a Coldplay concert and the kiss cam.
Ooh.
The kiss cam's a weird one because, you know, I work for the Toronto Rock. It's a pro sports team. And we do a kiss cam sometimes. We don't do it at every home game because you don't need it for every home game.
Yeah.
We try and switch up the different cams that we do.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that part.
But the kiss cam is an interesting one. And the way it works is the camera guys all look through the crowd to try and find people that are doing it. And once they get somebody locked in, they radio to the producer through their headset, and the producer, who can see the visual on all of the cameras, will decide which one goes up on the screen.
Oh, I love the behind the scenes. That's cool.
In this case, you've got the CEO of a pretty big AI company. Apparently, he's worth close to $1 billion.
Not no more.
And he went to the Coldplay concert, apparently, with his head of HR, and they were both married. They're having an affair.
Yeah.
And they ended up on the screen. And when they saw themselves on the screen, I totally understand what happened. Maybe they didn't want to get exposed for having an affair. Or maybe they just didn't want to be up on the screen. I see it all the time, Anna. People that get put up on the screen, and you can tell they do not want to be up on the screen. So usually we'll cut away from them and go to somebody else. In this case, they didn't do that right away. So that led HR lady there to cover her face and turn away, and him to hit the deck. Boom, he went down to try and get out of the camera line.
Too late.
Well, Chris Martin noticed this and called it out. They're either really shy or they're having an affair. Very intuitive, Chris, because they are having an affair, allegedly. The statements that have been put out, apparently some of them are fake.
Yeah, one that's on his behalf saying, it was Coldplay's fault and blah, 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 blah. That's fake.
That's not true. He's not blaming Coldplay because he got caught having an affair.
No, and he hasn't released anything, nor have the companies, but they have deactivated their LinkedIn accounts. His wife even took down all her social media because people kept bombarding her with video of the exposed on the kiss cam. So that's really tough. But before she deleted her account, she took off his last name. Mm-hmm. So, right now everybody's quiet, but there will be something released. The thing is, okay, you got caught on the cam, you shouldn't be having an affair, stuff happens, whatever. But people are saying, hey, if you just played it off, nobody would have cared. But the fact that they look like they were guilty and acted in the way that they did is why people went crazy with the story.
Yeah, I'm really conflicted by this. I am, because I see people having a really good time with this story. They're making up memes.
Yeah.
There's merch getting made.
That's wild.
The joke that's running is Coldplay hasn't made a single in years, but they made 2 in one night there. I understand it, but I'm also trying to look at the human side of it. And the statement that I read yesterday, you said it's fake,
it's
right?
Fake.
Okay. I do kind of agree a little bit with the sentiment. This was a personal thing that is now playing out in front of the world, and they didn't ask for that. I mean, yeah, they got outed. They got caught having an affair. That's going to come with a lot of consequences. It's probably going to cost him a fortune. It's going to be very disruptive for his family and his kids, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has kids.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I would feel if my divorce or the end of my marriage got splashed all over the internet worldwide, and people were actually enjoying it. And I know that there's people who have made it basically a cause to keep this story going. I don't quite understand that mentality because I'm looking at it from the human side, and having gone through a divorce, it's not easy on anybody. It's hard on the kids. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I would want my divorce playing out like that.
I think it's just people who have been scorned potentially, or I've also read that he wasn't a very nice boss, that they love watching his demise. I feel bad for both of their partners and their families, everything being blown up in their face like that. But if you are having an affair, should you really be out in public like that, hoping you don't get caught in front of 50,000 people with your arms around each other? I mean, there are cameras. Were you just feeling like you were invincible and it would never come to surface? I don't know. But it happened. These are the consequences. They've now become celebrities overnight. And it's
for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. And yeah, everybody's going to be affected because of this decision that they made to go out to their concert. And Coldplay was like, oh my gosh, I was only kidding. But He nailed it.
Chris Martin's mouth has got him in trouble a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. There's this. In Toronto, he had to walk back those comments about this weird stadium in the middle of nowhere for Rogers Stadium. You can tell he was told, you better fix this.
Yeah, he was saying, I didn't mean to criticize. I think this is a great stadium, bringing us all together.
Yeah. Chris. Jeez, man. When it comes to this couple, listen, they were having an affair. That's kind of a human thing. It happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
And they got caught. I don't really love how much joy some people are taking in watching this guy's life fall apart. Mm-hmm. And clearly a mistake, bad decision. It's going to impact him and his family for a long time. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, the video.
He might even lose his job. That video will be around forever now.
Yeah.
But I do kind of feel bad for him in a way. I mean, no sympathy. No, I don't even want to say that. I just feel bad for him. Put it that way. I didn't think that was the nicest of ways for your marriage to come to an end in such a public way.
That, yes, I can get behind that for sure, because people do make mistakes for sure.
Or let's say it's not over. Sometimes people can work through this. I know that sounds crazy to some, but for others, cheating isn't necessarily a deal breaker. And you know what? You find a way to make it work for whatever reason. Some couples go down that road. And if you can do that, total respect to you and your situation. Obviously, you know it intimately and I don't. But let's say this marriage isn't over. Now, with the publicness of this, even his wife is now going to face a lot of criticism for staying with him if, in fact, they do. And this is why these personal situations should remain personal. I don't know if we can stop the internet. The internet's going to do what the internet does, but I am not sharing that. I won't be participating in that. I'm not going to judge anyone who does. I would never want to be in that situation, and I won't put somebody else in that.
I just feel for the partners and the kids. That's my biggest thing. And also, if he was a jerk at work to employees.
They had a great day yesterday. You know,
I will say that part.
If you've got the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, and reports are that he's a jerk, and HR, which a lot of employees don't get along with either or see eye to eye with, you got to know that as soon as that broke yesterday, that was all the talk in that office. Like nothing is getting done anytime soon. No. It's all side chats, group chats, and this and that. And oh my God, did you hear about this?
Yeah, so that's where I would fall. I'd be like, oh, because I've had bosses who were jerks. And then if something like that were to happen, I'd have the last laugh. But again, I would feel bad for the family because it's not just those two, it's everybody else around them for sure.
All right.
Okay.
It's Friday. I have a golf match in a few hours and some errands to run first. So not that I don't love you guys. I love you. Thank you for downloading this episode. If you haven't already, I hope you'll hit subscribe and keep enjoying episodes that come out daily, Monday to Friday. Scott Fox After 9. Fridays, we do listener DMs. I think we got about 10 or 12 questions today.
They're great.
On a lot of different topics. So let's get to it.
All right. First up is from Danielle. Scott, I know I'm way too late to the show here, but so glad you stayed with the pod and kept it up even after landing back on the air. What you're doing, saying is important, and more people agree with you than you think. I could respond every day to the pod with comments to add, but I saw a video today on Mario for the North's page about the dairy farmers being forced to dump the milk.
Mario for the North, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So not news to me, but still just as ridiculous as any other government policy. Hear me out on this one, though. The National Lunch Program for Kids, why aren't we just donating the milk to the schools for that? Not that I'd ever expect a liberal government to be smart enough to solve two problems at once. Keep going. Love the pod. That's from Danielle.
Thank you for all of that. Some real nice words there, too. It was really important to me that I assure you, my podcast listeners, that regardless of what I do during my 9 to 5, so to speak, I'm continuing this pod. I am a podcaster who happens to also have a radio show, not the other way around. When it comes to supply management, I think is what she was getting at there. Supply management, if the dairy farmers produce too much milk, they have to dump it. There's a supply management. They control how much is in the market. I think supply management should be scrapped. I think that Mark Carney agrees with me, and I think Mark Carney is going to make the very unpopular decision to scrap supply management because that's a major trade irritant with the Americans. In fact, one of the only ways that he is going to get a deal done with Donald Trump is if we get rid of supply management and we don't have those 300% tariffs on U.S. dairy farmers. It should be free across the border. If we want to sell dairy into America, if they want to buy Canadian milk, great. If we want to buy American milk, great. But either way, I think that supply management is done, particularly in Quebec. Folks there are not going to like that because they like our very protective supply managed system. Now, what she's asking here is the milk that we're dumping. Why don't we just contribute that to the school food program? My question is, where is the school food program? You know, I asked this question a few weeks ago, and I haven't heard a word about it from any of our legislators. We have kids right now who are not getting everything they need because they're not at school. There are kids right now that are hungry because they didn't get the food from school. Could we use some of the excess in our markets? Could we compel those dairy farmers, you know, instead of dumping all that extra milk, it's all going to go to a common distribution place and you'll get paid for the what we use for the school food program, but we're going to make sure that all of our kids have access to fresh Canadian dairy. It makes perfect sense. But we're probably not going to do it because we still don't even have this program. This needs to be a priority, and I want to believe that it'll start in September. I just don't have a lot of confidence. This government, different but the same as the old government. And what I mean by that is the same in the sense that they're big on announcements and terrible on follow through. That was always Trudeau's thing. Made all these big announcements and nothing ever happened. Carney has a chance to reset that, but so far I haven't seen any evidence that he's going to either. Mark, if anyone from the PMO is listening, this is a priority for me. It's a priority for the middle class. It's a priority for the poor.
Yeah.
They need this school food program. You guys approved it. You said you would do it. You need to get it in there because there's just way too many kids relying on it. And as far as using some of the supply managed excess dairy that we have, I didn't even think of that, but that's a hell of a good idea.
Couldn't agree more. Annie writes, hey, what is the Ontario Trillium benefit? I file my taxes every year through TurboTax, and I think it automatically has me apply for that. Regardless, this year and last year, I've received letters saying I don't qualify. Always in July when I'm supposed payments come out. Okay, I make okay money between 65,000 last year, 74 this year, only because I'd given up a little job security to potentially get more money in the long term. Own a home, pay mortgage, pay my utilities, property taxes, groceries, and last year worked at a retail store under the table. I get these benefits are meant for people really struggling, but Jesus, what do I have to do to get some sort of help? I coupon, actually I really do, and I wouldn't say I struggle, but I also don't have a ton left over at the end of the month. When you say the government forgets the middle class, I definitely feel this is the way. I'm 35 and want to have kids, but I can't afford it. Okay, end of rant from Annie.
Oof, lots there, Annie. Yeah, I don't know much about the Trillium benefit. I've never gotten it.
Me either.
So I don't know a whole ton. I'll tell you what the Government of Canada's website is about the Ontario Trillium benefit. They say Ontario Trillium benefit, OTB, is the combined payment of the Ontario Energy and Property Tax Credit, the Northern Ontario Energy Credit, and the Ontario Sales Tax Credit. The annual Ontario Trillium benefit entitlement is usually divided by 12 and the payments issued monthly. Your 2025 OTB payments, which are based on your 2024 income, will be issued on the 10th of each month starting in July 2025. Okay, so she applied for it and is not eligible anymore.
So right when she's supposed to start getting payments, July, she's not getting it.
Okay. I don't know what the criteria is, but the whole thing needs to be overhauled. Like Annie, think about what Annie just wrote.
Yeah.
She's 35 and she wants to have kids. That's a good thing. She can't afford it. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, she's working under the table at certain jobs. She kept her income on paper low enough that she should have still been able to qualify for this credit, and she's not. The government doesn't understand what middle class is. Ask any politician. Phone your local politician. Phone their office and ask them just a simple question. What is middle class? How much do you have to make to be middle class? And I guarantee you're going to be shocked by the answer because they don't know. They don't know. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. There's some smart legislators out there, people that have been elected that know what they're doing. They understand the needs, but they're not the leaders. The leaders don't seem to get it. How much do you have to make to be middle class? Because I'm going to float a guess that you need a household income of at least $180,000 to live the dream. To have a house, to have a car in the driveway for each driver, to take a vacation once a year, to be able to put your kids in sports and make sure you've got all the groceries you need and have some nice birthdays and Christmases. It's $180,000. Wow. Household. It's messed up.
Wow.
And when people can't qualify for benefits, especially ones they used to get, it shows that things are getting further out of touch. Supply chains and all the other excuses they've given us for the cost of living going up, it's the government's fault. We printed too much money. And there's some corporate greed in there as well. Now, the government could help out those who are not making ends meet. They could. They don't understand that there is a problem, and they don't know how to deal with it anyway. Their solution is usually just print more money, but we know we can't do that anymore. Now it's time to find out if these people are actually smart financial managers, and I'm going to venture a guess that the answer is no, they're not, because they don't understand who they're dealing with. Sucks that you were expecting that and you're not going to get it. Another kick in the ass. We need something to change here. I think we need to overhaul the entire system. Strip the tax code back to bare bones, and let's just get back to basics and then start putting in these benefits again, but apply them to people who need them. Because guaranteed, there's people gaming the system and getting it that shouldn't. There's people not getting it that need it and deserve it. And the people who need it and deserve it, they aren't even getting enough. That's a huge problem. From disability payments to the child tax benefits, you name it. None of it is hitting the mark for making people or helping people make ends meet. It's sad.
Yeah, you'll just hear the story. But at least you're getting it. Oh, thank you.
Well, that's just such a condescending
Right?
thing for
But,
government to say. Well, at least you get it.
Yeah, at
Get
least
outta
you're
here.
getting it. Oh, wow.
It's like, well, at least you got that tax cut that
Right?
Carney gave us.
Yeah.
It's $2 a month.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's not, if you think $2 a month is going to fix even a single problem that people have, you're delusional.
Yeah. Different world you're living in. All right, Walter. Hey, Scott, since I did not vote Liberal, I voted Conservative. I would support that. And let me be clear, I was under no illusion that the Poly Avenue could get rid of all the tariffs. Either I was voting for him to get rid of the carbon taxes to allow Alberta to drill and to cut the fat in the government spending and to drill our precious metals and to diversify so that we can be prosperous. Now I'm extremely worried about my family's future. Will our salaries go up as fast as goods and groceries are going up?
No.
No.
Listen, that's a fine question. I believe what he's saying is, read me that first line again.
Yeah, I would support that. And let me be clear, I was under no illusion that Poly Avenue, is that, I'm going to assume that
You meant Polyev?
Polyev could get rid of all the tariffs either. He couldn't do it. So I was voting for him to get rid of the carbon taxes to allow Alberta. So he didn't think he was getting rid of the tariffs. However, he still voted for him for the fact that of the carbon taxes he could get rid of.
Okay, so I think he's responding to a tweet that I sent out the other day and a comment that I made on the pod that August 2nd is an important day in Canada. August 1st is the deadline for Canada and the USA to have a deal. If they don't have a deal, August 2nd, Mark Carney should recall Parliament and dissolve it, or just go see the Governor General and dissolve it right then and there. He owes that to us because he got elected on a promise that he would be the guy who would deal with this. I also voted for Pierre. I don't think that Pierre could have necessarily had us in much of a different position with Trump. I think it would have been a lot more interesting, and I think it would have been a lot more transparent, but I also don't think we'd be as reliant on Trump right now because I think Pierre would have done things differently. So yeah, totally understand. You're asking about what are we going to do here? Salaries are not going up as fast as the cost of living. I'm going to say something right now that's wildly unpopular, probably, but I'm going to say it anyway because it needs to be said. Common sense. We're raising salaries too high. It's too much. You know, everything was fine. We had $5.99 Big Mac combos at McDonald's until minimum wage went up 4 times in 2 years, and now we're paying $16.99.
For the same thing.
It's when raising salaries to meet these inflationary pressures and the cost of living is not the answer. And by the way, there's certain jobs that have to bottom out or max out at a certain amount. We can't keep raising minimum wage because when you increase the cost of doing business, you're increasing the cost of everything else. Hey, great that you got an extra 20 cents an hour, but now we're all paying an extra $1 per apple at the grocery store. That's what happens. We need to get to a minimum level for minimum wage, and we need to set a ceiling on it too. Some jobs are entry level, and they come with a minimum wage that's not even meant to be a livable wage. It's a fair wage for the work that you do. When minimum wage is knocking on the door of $20 an hour, businesses can't afford that. They're going to start laying off staff, and they have to raise their prices. Part of the reason that costs have gone up is because salaries have gone so far up. We went through a time there where we had housing under control. We had most inflationary pressures under control. Grocery prices were fairly stable. The cost of dining out was fairly stable. Vacation prices were stable. Everything has gone up, and people are complaining, well, wages aren't keeping up with it. Raising wages just contributes to making these things more expensive. We need a great reset in Canada. Mm-hmm. We have to get back to basics here. And part of the getting back to basics is a lower minimum wage. And people are just going to have to accept the fact that minimum wage is not and never will be meant to cover the cost of living. It's the wage you get paid for doing a job. It's what we pay kids to do entry-level positions. It's a lot of different things. But it's not meant to be a living wage. It's just not. Mm-hmm. To try and pretend that with your minimum wage job, you can live the Canadian dream and have a detached house with a nice backyard and a couple cars in the driveway and all your bills paid and food in the fridge and take your vacation once a year and put your kids in sports. That's not a minimum wage job. You have to earn more, and that would have to come from a different position. Imagine paying people $20 an hour to work at McDonald's or Tim Hortons or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason that the cost at McDonald's and Tim Hortons has gone up is because wages have gone up so much. We really don't think through the consequences of our actions. Or sorry, not us. Our legislators don't think about unintended consequences when they do things. Like, they're stupid people. It's crazy, Anna.
They were just looking for a Band-Aid. Quick fix.
Well, and it's popular, right? Oh, we're going to raise minimum wage. But every time you raise minimum wage, everybody that makes minimum wage still stands up and says, well, it's not enough.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's not supposed to be enough.
No, that's why.
There's a minimum wage so that you can't require slave labor. You can't go to somebody desperate for a job and say, well, if you want, I'll pay you $5 an hour, but that's all I'm willing to pay, and I'm going to work you like a dog. The minimum wage is to set a minimum standard of pay in any job. But trying to get minimum wage to keep up with the cost of living is crazy. It's crazy. It's a total tail wagging the dog. It's not practical and it's not sustainable. That's part of the reason prices have gone up.
Yeah.
I know that that's unpopular and there's some people who don't want to hear it, but I'm just going to say it because it's common sense.
Yeah. And then you can't find jobs, you know?
Well, this is another thing. They also don't hire as many people.
No, my nephew can't still get a job and he's been applying everywhere. So, yeah. It's not without effort. All right, Jesse, finished the pod this morning. I'm so very disappointed with the Carney stuff. I didn't vote for Pierre. I was very against how the campaign was run. And I'm a CBC supporter who is down for reform, but not for a full defunding. But I also couldn't vote for the Liberals after the nonsense we've been dealing with. And it just proves as to why they shouldn't have been trusted. It angers me when these smart individuals are like, I don't know. I don't believe any of that for a moment unless they're like me and hate the stock market and just have someone managing their profile, which I don't think Carney is that guy. I don't trust the Conservatives either. I think politics are just ultra grimy and full of lies and BS these days. Maybe that's what it's always been, but we seem to be more focused on screwing over the other team as opposed to moving the general populace forward. If Pierre can pivot and try to let up on the non-stop negativity, he might be able to turn things around, and the tone has been much better post-election reform for the Conservative camp. Some of their more vocal supporters really detract from the efforts. All the middle-aged white guys with trucks full of racism is just not a good vibe for anyone. But they seem to really have hijacked the Conservative identity from many moderate Conservatives that exist in this country. Have a great day, Scott.
Oh, Jesus. There's a lot to unpack there, Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and address a few of the points in your DM. CBC was the first thing he mentioned.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the CBC defunded. I don't understand why, but I would also point out that the CBC is never going away. No. We will always have the CBC unless Carney decides to sell it, and he's not going to do that. We have a national network of broadcasters. That's fine. The CBC is safe. Defunding the CBC does not mean that anything is going to happen to the CBC. It doesn't mean anything that you watch or listen to is going to change. All it means is we're not going to give them $1 billion tax dollars a year. They're going to have to survive on the revenue that they, as a Crown Corporation, generate from their operation. Very much like CTV, City, Global, all these operations. They've been around for years. They're not going anywhere either. Well, maybe Global, we'll see. But the rest of them, They seem fairly fine because they have different sources of revenue. They sell advertising, they sell sponsorships, they create programming, and then they license that programming around the world. There's a lot of different ways that television stations generate revenue and radio stations. All that's being asked of the CBC is, since they can't seem to eliminate the bias in their network, all taxpayers should not have to foot that bill. It makes me sick that my tax dollars go to that when I truly get angry watching it because they're so biased and they are so out in left field and so you name it. Lots of adjectives there. Defunding the CBC, all that means is that we're not giving them $1 billion tax dollars a year so that they can have correspondents around the world that file one report every 2 weeks but get to live their life expense-free in Europe or in other places around the world. They're going to have to fund their operations based on their success. And if they want more money, it's totally achievable. They can get it tomorrow if they increase their ratings. Yeah. Right now, they don't have to worry about who's watching their network because they get their money anyway. It's very anti-competitive. And the other thing is it creates an unlevel playing field against the private broadcasters. You know, it's one thing when you're CTV and you got to compete against all these other TV stations that are selling to the same advertisers. Yeah, we want McDonald's to come in and make a big buy on our television network. Well, so do the other ones. Mm-hmm. CBC, they don't have that worry. They're still going to try and get McDonald's to advertise, and McDonald's will. But whether they do or don't, CBC still has guaranteed income. They know what their budget is. It's not a fair thing to the private broadcasters, and we're not getting a good service as Canadians. So I'd almost love to do a full episode on defunding the CBC because I think there is some misconceptions out there. Jesse also brought up the change in tone of Pierre Poilievre. Pierre had to do it. I think at the time that Pierre started his campaign, it was a little misguided. He went way too far with the rhymes. He sounded like Dr. Seuss at times there. Everything rhymed. It was all a slogan. It came off as very fake and slimy to some people. But he was trying to reflect the sentiment of the electorate. And keep in mind, up until a month before we actually had the election, 6 weeks before the election, it was Trudeau was prime minister. Canada hated Trudeau. Canada loved it when Pierre called out Trudeau because they hated Trudeau so much. Carney came in and it completely changed the game because it was a different guy who said, I'm not the same guy. I'm not a politician. And people bought it. He didn't pivot fast enough to get more professional and deal with Carney on the professional level that he probably should have. He ran against Justin Trudeau, even though Carney was the prime minister. He ran against Trudeau's record, even though Carney was promising something different. Does he have to pivot? Yeah. And I think he has. He's doing a very good job now at being a lot more moderate, a lot more reasonable. And I think that probably will pay off for him in the long run. When it comes to not wanting to be or not identifying with the conservatives because of the white trucker racists. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they're very vocal and they speak openly about being a conservative.
Well, listen, there's extremists on both sides. You know, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of liberals who don't actually like to tell people that they're liberal because they're not anti-Semitic and not racist. But there's a lot of them out there that are. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to get lumped in with the extreme of your party. Mm-hmm. Let's just keep in mind something that I actually said the other day, and I'm going to stick with this messaging. The vast majority of this country is in the center. Some of us lean a little more left. Some of us lean a little more right. Mm-hmm. The extremes on either side are not how we should judge the vast majority of each other. And if you tell me you're a liberal and you voted for Carney, I'll take it for what it is. Okay, she must have had her reasons. She likes Carney. Maybe she feels particular about a certain issue. No problem. What's not helpful is if I hear Anna say that she's a liberal and voted for Carney, and I start going to the extreme as, oh, well, I guess you're pro-Hamas.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You like pedophiles, do you?
And that's what happens.
You're clearly anti-Semitic, all
Yeah.
right? Or you're stupid and can't do math. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what that is.
It's terrible.
There's always going to be extremes on the left and extremes on the right. That's not how we judge each other. I'm a conservative. I will tell you that right now. Again, I try and declare that as much as I can so that people understand I do have a bit of a bias, even though I try to be fair. I'm a conservative. Does that mean that I'm in favor of some of the real extreme stuff that the far right wants? No, absolutely not. Am I cheering on Alberta separation just because I'm a conservative? Hell no. I'm a patriot. I want this country to stay together. Do I identify with the truckers and am I one of the white racists and anti-immigration folks? No, keep that nonsense out of here. Again, the vast majority of us are so close in our political views, we can find common ground. But not when you start looking at through that lens. Oh, you're a liberal? You must be a total idiot. And you can't do math and you're in favor of higher inflation and printing more money. Oh, you're a conservative? You're racist and you're like those truckers that were honking the horns outside Parliament. And I don't own an F. Trudeau flag. I certainly agree with the sentiment, but I would never wave one of those.
Yeah.
You know, like, come on. Stop trying to paint people with the extremes of the party that they identify with. And keep in mind, we have far more in common than different. We're all mainly in the center. And that's where Canada is, too. We're in the center. Sometimes the country leans left. Sometimes the country leans right. But we're all moderate. For the most part, we're all moderate people.
I love that. We should be able to have a good discussion without being insulted.
But you know what, though? There is things that we can find common ground on. I don't know any conservatives that disagree with getting this school nutrition program running. It came from the Liberals, forced a little bit by the NDP, but conservatives agree with that for the most part. Like, there is common ground here. We can find stuff that we agree on. And what we disagree on, let's talk that out. And that can be a fun conversation as long as we don't start accusing people of the extreme stuff in either side.
I'm with you on that for sure. Zachary, hello. We're going to talk about Donald Trump right now.
Trumpy.
All right. So, hello. I don't think President Trump is on the list, the Epstein files, but I would absolutely believe that he has friends on that list and those friends have dirt on Trump and he doesn't want that to come out. That could be anything from bad business dealings to personal scandal, etc. And that's why he hasn't released them and is calling this whole thing, the list, a hoax. Those friends could absolutely be blackmailing him and forcing him to use his platform to spread misinformation. Just some food for thought for you from Zachary.
Zachary, great message. I don't know the truth. I think we're getting closer to finding it out. I don't know exactly why Trump has taken this incredible about face, but I know that he's getting real close to this is going to be his legacy. He went senile at the end. He called the Epstein thing a hoax. Clearly, there's some sort of a connection to Epstein that he denies. I don't think that letter is legit, but there's certainly enough pictures of Trump and Epstein together, videos of them together. Nothing to say that Trump did anything on Epstein Island or with young girls, though. But they certainly knew each other, and there's members of Trump's own administration that have connections to Epstein. I don't care about that. If you met him, if you took a picture with him, if you went on his plane, if you had a drink with the guy, I don't care. I want to know who used their position of authority to hurt children and to traffic women and teenagers. That's all I want to know. That's all I'm interested in. I don't even care if you had some shady real estate deals. It doesn't matter to me. That's not the point of this. We're getting justice for victims. That's all I care about.
Well, and keeping with that whole thought, Angie, hey, Scott, I've been thinking a lot about these Epstein files. Yes, Trump may be in on them. Okay, maybe be in on them. But another possibility is that he's being gagged by the king. Shortly after the inauguration, the U.S. had a royal visit. Now it's announced that Trump will be hosting the royals in September. I have a feeling that the king is continuing the late Queen's crusade to keep Prince Andrew from going down.
Possibly. Trump had a fantastic relationship with Queen Elizabeth II. He raves about how much he loved that woman. It makes perfect sense that he would have a good relationship with her son and the new king. There's also no shortage of speculation out there that the king isn't exactly, as far as the world order is concerned, the way we think of him. Maybe he has a lot more control in darker circles. I don't know the truth. Those are conspiracy theories that I'm not going to go down. You're welcome to look into it if you want. Can the king influence President Trump? Yeah, I think he can. Is the king lobbying Trump to leave his brother, Prince Andrew, out of this? I'd be surprised if he's not.
Yeah.
I really would be. He's family. You're going to protect your brother, if they're actually brothers. Some jury might be out on that one, too. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, Angie. It's a fun thing, and I hope that we get to the bottom of it. And I kind of like the speculation, but I'm going to try and keep it as fact-based as possible.
Perfect. Rob, he writes, I can't wait for the world to arrive in Toronto for the World Cup so we can hear the world media go on about how bad crime is, traffic, and infrastructure, and the cost of everything that is so high in the GTA.
Yeah.
That said, I think you are way too low on your ticket price estimate. It's supposed to cost $380 million for Toronto's 6 games at 240,000 seats divided by $380 million. That's an average of over $1,500 a ticket just to break even. Popcorn ready for when they actually release the prices for seats.
Why are we doing this? I mean, I talked about this the other day. If you want to hear it, go back and listen to this week's episodes. I don't understand why we're doing this World Cup. Rob's right. We're only getting 6 games. It's costing us $380 million, and that's what they're telling us now. After it's all said and done, and they factor in all of the cost overruns, and we forgot this and that, and there will probably have to be an investigation to figure out who stole money and for what. After it's all said and done, this is going to cost us close to $500 million to host these games. Rob here has done the math.
Yeah.
Even at $380 million, just to break even, we'd have to sell tickets for $1,500 a piece.
Wow.
A piece.
Who has that kind of money?
It's insanity. It's insanity. And, there are going to be people around here that buy tickets and are happy to go to the games and all that sort of thing, but the vast majority are not. We are paying $380 million to get crapped on by the rest of the world. They're going to come here. They're going to see how bad the traffic is. Every celebrity now who comes to Toronto comments how bad the traffic is. Worse than LA.
Yeah.
We don't move people in a functional way in this city. It's dysfunctional. They're going to make fun of us for the traffic. They're going to make fun of us for the crime. They're going to make fun of us for the cost. They're going to make fun of us for this, that, and everything. We're paying to get beat up. That's all this is. I don't know why we're doing it. It's not too late, though. Despite what they say, it's not too late. Cancel it, send those 6 games to Vancouver, cut our losses now, and enjoy not being in complete gridlock and going through different security bubbles next year during the World Cup.
Oh, and there's going to be lots of those.
Oh, my God. It's not just down around BMO either. They're going to set up events across the city, and the security is going to be very much like the Pan Am Games. There's going to be certain streets that you can't go down. There's going to be certain buildings you're not allowed to go in. It's going to be a gong show.
You're absolutely right. I see that happening. All right, Brad, he writes, just listening to today's pod, and I agree with the Sportsnet Plus price increase is just ridiculous. I still have cable, so I don't pay for it, but I've heard from people who do, and they say the app is truly terrible and unreliable, always crashing or unable to sign in, etc. So that makes the increase even more frustrating. Also, Sportsnet is the only channel that airs Jays game aside from the odd Apple TV game. So I think that they're banking on diehard Jay fans paying because they have nowhere else to watch the games. So brutal. That's from Brad.
I don't necessarily blame Rogers, though. I don't disagree with what he's saying, but I don't necessarily blame Rogers. We expect one of our Canadian broadcasters to carry the Jays, to carry the Leafs, whatever. They own those teams, so yeah, it makes perfect sense that they would do it, but they also have to commit to a broadcast deal with the NHL, with MLB, et cetera, et cetera. Those things cost millions of dollars. In order to make it feasible, they've got to charge more to the end user. And if people aren't using cable and they want to watch through the app, there's a cost to that. Does the cost go up? Yeah, the cost of everything is going up. But what I do think is fans need to tell them when they've gone too far. And I think the best way you can tell them they've gone too far is don't renew. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying cancel your subscription. If it's prepaid till the end of the month, keep it till the end of the month. But don't renew. You've got to send a message that there is a ceiling to how much we're willing to pay. Everybody needs to learn that. I think McDonald's and all these fast food chains are getting a real rude awakening because they're looking around at empty restaurants right now asking, what the hell? Well, maybe it's the fact that you're charging $16.99 for a damn Big Mac combo. People have had enough. There's a ceiling to how much we're willing to pay. And we're here. The ceiling is here. This is it. No more price increases. Sportsnet, I don't want to see a fellow broadcaster suffer, but they're going to have to because I think fans are going to cancel because they can't afford it. Maybe Major League Baseball and the NHL should adjust their pricing. Maybe they should stop trying to suck as much money as possible out of the broadcasters and just play the goddamn game.
Preach.
Thank you.
Honestly.
But part of that, too, is salaries.
Yes.
Stop cheering on these 20-something running backs that are signing $130 million contracts for 4 years of playing football. Stop cheering that nonsense on.
It's wild.
Who are you people that were willing on Mitch Marner to get a $12 million a year contract? Stop that. That's why the ticket prices are high and why it costs so much for these price increases. You gotta stop.
I vote for you.
Thank you.
But it is the truth. Absolutely. You said it perfectly. Jennifer, she writes, so 2 years ago, Speaking of price increases, my family got Wonderland season passes. We went almost every Saturday or Sunday. We live in Kitchener and did about 4 hours at a time. We went on all the good rides as soon as it opened and got on right away. This is the only way you get to get away with not buying the fast lane passes and make it worth it. So getting there first thing in the morning with the season's pass, you're able to hopefully get on those rides before everybody else shows up.
Good. Yeah. Hey, whatever you have to do. You can buy those fast lane passes, but they're expensive.
I hate them. I hate change like that. Let's just all wait together like it used to be in the good old days.
So you don't think money should be able to buy you access?
No, come on. These rides, like, oh.
But you don't have money.
No.
If you had money, you'd totally buy one.
No, I still would not.
You're telling me if you went to Disney World, you can buy the fast passes there too, you wouldn't buy them on principle because other people can't afford them?
Disney World is a little different.
Even Wonderland.
Wonderland, I would not.
You'd intentionally wait in line with everybody else to prove a point.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I want to spend that kind of money where I could use it for something else. For a 6-second ride, forget it then. You know, everything's so expensive. I just don't want to add another $200 to my Saturday when I could use it for something else. And that's truly how I feel.
Okay.
And that is why I have not gone yet. There you go. But if somebody wants to buy me the pass, I'll take it. All right. Now we have Paul. Okay, this is an interesting one, Scott. There's only 2 left, but this one's going to make you think, not that you haven't already. Hey, Scott, kind of a personal question, but I will ask anyway. What is your opinion about God, and are you Catholic? Lots of hugs for Anna. Oh, thanks, Paul.
It's a weird question.
Yeah.
It's funny. Politics and religion used to be the 2 things that you don't talk about. Now everybody talks about politics, but still nobody talks about religion.
Oh, it's a tough one.
I don't even mind answering that because I think more people should talk about religion. I think more people should talk about their faith. I think people would be shocked to find out about the faith of people that they work with, people that they're friends with. It's just something we don't talk about. I am Catholic. I was an altar boy for 7-8 years. Never abused, though. But I...
Oh, my God.
I had some great priests, but they never touched me.
There you go. The word of the Bible, you did it. Yeah.
No, I am Catholic. I was an altar boy for many years. I still go to church almost every Sunday. And my faith isn't something I talk about very often, but it's certainly there, and it's a big part of my life. It helps guide me in just about everything I do. And I think it keeps me grounded and makes me a little more compassionate. I would encourage everyone, especially people that are struggling right now, go to church. And it might seem like a crazy thing. What is going to a building going to do? You might be surprised. Just try it. It's free. I'm not going to ask you for it. Well, they might ask you for a little donation. You don't have to give it, though.
No, you don't.
Go to Mass on a Sunday, especially if you haven't been in a while. Try it out. See if anything hits. Maybe it won't, but maybe it will. I think spirituality is in all of us, and it's really just a matter of how you use it and how you tap it and how you portray that in your full or your regular life. Kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm a little rattled because I'm not quite sure how to answer that question.
You're not rattled. I think you said it beautifully. I'm also Catholic. I believe in God. I believe that there are, something more to this than just us. And if you don't believe in God or your God's different, I think that's great. As long as you believe in something and it brings you personal peace, I think that's a wonderful thing. And that does for you, Scott.
As a Christian, though, I will say that it is frustrating, the treatment that we get. And I'll tell you why, because there's certainly people, nobody's really afraid to explain to everyone that they're Muslim. No one's afraid to explain that they're Buddhist. No one's afraid to explain that they are Jewish. And the list goes on. There aren't nearly as many cheerleaders for Catholicism and Christianity. And, we had a lot of churches burned down in this country over the last couple of years. And our government completely turned a blind eye to it and didn't do a thing about it. And stuff like that, it frustrates me. It really does. I think people that are Christians who believe in Christianity should be a little more vocal about what they do and a lot more protective of their faith and proud of their faith as well. Your spirituality helps make you who you are. And I think that Christianity has been pushed to the back for a number of different reasons over the years. And certainly the people who preach it and practice it have been almost demonized in a way. And I don't understand why, because we're a Christian nation. Yeah. We were founded that way, and that should never change. So I think that we need to take a look in the mirror as Catholics and Christians and ask ourselves what more we can do. Having said that, I think that there needs to be complete tolerance for all faith. All of them. And you know what? If you are Catholic Christian and you don't quite understand Judaism, ask questions because they'll be happy to explain it to you.
Yeah.
If you don't understand the Islamic faith, ask and they'll be happy to talk to you about it. Most people are. And one of the most empowering things you can do is learn about the other side, but choose to stay on yours. As long as you're respectful of the other side, we're good.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. I love that.
Thank you.
I do. That warms my heart. Okay, last one. Scott. Hey, this is from Jackie. I was thinking yesterday about how much time you spend on news and research and putting all these things together in your pod. I was wondering if you could walk us through your day as to how you get all this done, plus have a nice home life with your girlfriend. I just can't wrap my head around how you have time for all of this in a day. Thank you for doing all that you do for us to be informed. That's from Jackie.
Oh, that's nice. Jackie's a real long-time listener, and I appreciate the hell out of everybody who's a long-time listener. There's some in these DMs here today that haven't reached out since I started the pod or since I left the old station, and it's nice to hear from people and that you're still out there. I really, truly do appreciate that. My day used to be, when I was just doing the pod, I was up every day at 5 a.m., even though I didn't have a job. I was up at 5 a.m. researching, prepping, trying to make sure that I put out the best podcast possible. Now, because of the radio aspect, I start my radio prep at 4:30 in the morning. It's usually when I get here between 4:30 and 5. And the bulk of the prep I do is for the radio show. But there's also a lot that carries over. When I'm doing the radio show, I am also thinking about what content I want to put in the podcast that day, what messaging I want to put out. And I put a lot into it. When I do the pod, I go hard on the pod. But then I'm also able to shut it off for a bit. I need my break in the afternoon. That's when I play golf. That's when I go out for lunch with my girlfriend. That's when I play with my dog. That's when I call my kids. That's when I do all of those sort of things. You have to give yourself some downtime. Otherwise, this political world that I'm in, you can get totally consumed by it. I also volunteer a lot, too. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm the commissioner of Canada's University Lacrosse League. So when you see a lacrosse game on TV between McMaster and Brock, I'm the commissioner of that league, and that takes up a lot of my time as a youth sport. But I couldn't imagine not doing that because I'm also passionate about that and helping young athletes get to achieve their goals and making those athletes realize that your goals are achievable in Canada. You don't need to go to the NCAA, but that's a totally other topic. I really like to carve out time for myself, at least a couple of hours, and sometimes that's as simple as a nap. 2 hours in the afternoon. If I can get 2 hours in the afternoon, I am feeling great and refreshed. And that gives me the recharge I need to prioritize my girlfriend. One of the things that's become very obvious to me since I met Diana is how much work relationships require. You've really got to put in the time and really listen to each other and take each other seriously and prioritize the other person. You know, it's real easy to get caught up in the work you have to do and real easy for them to get caught up in theirs. But your relationship is probably the most important thing you have in your life. And if you don't prioritize that as much as you prioritize your job, one of them is going. And it might not be the one you want to lose. So put the time in for your family life and be present, do all those sort of things. I try to do that. But when it's time to work, I go hard and I take my job seriously. And above all else, I strive to be as professional as possible. If that's my legacy, is I didn't agree with the guy very much, but he was professional. I'll take it.
Oh my gosh. I can say, sitting across from Scott, and only have been worked with him now for not even 4 months, which is absolutely incredible. I've learned so much. He is truly, and he's not telling me to say any of this. This is coming from my heart. He's truly a professional, and he cares about people. He cares that I succeed. He cares that you succeed. When you DM him, he pays attention. It all matters to him. He cares about people. That is the legacy. He cares about this world. He cares about people, and he just wants you to enjoy him. Not
all people. A few of them can F right off. Most
and
of them
funny.
Most of them work in Ottawa. But if you're a middle-class Canadian, I think about you every day in a very broad sense.
So he really does. He's passionate about this podcast. He puts in the work. I see it. You don't you hear him, but I see all the extra work and the time he puts in. He loves it so much. His girlfriend, his dog. And even with all that, even if I'm not feeling good, he checks in. He checks in on his friends. He'll write me. He'll text me, hey, how are you? Are you doing okay? Are you feeling better? Like, that stuff is what counts, and that's what makes him such a good person. And thank you, Scott, because I've truly learned so much. And I feel like I've grown as a broadcaster in ways I didn't even know that I could. And it's because you believed in me. And I appreciate that so much, truly. And even though you don't give hugs, I still love you.
People still find that really hard. That I'm not a hugger.
No,
but
you're not.
You know what, though? Part of that goes back to the professionalism thing. Is I don't think I need to touch my coworkers. And it's a little thing, and it's partially because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. But I also feel like I don't need to cross any lines, and there should never be any ambiguity about where I stand.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of the things that I made a choice to do is I don't hug.
And I'm a hugger because I love everybody, and it's so bad, I know.
But you know what's funny, though, is somebody pointed this out, a good friend, that he said, you're not a hugger with women.
Yeah.
You'll hug me anytime. If I want to hug you, you'll hug me.
Get out.
And it's true when I thought about it. If a buddy of mine makes a 20-foot birdie putt, he's getting a hug. If it's my son's birthday, he's getting a hug. Well, my family's different.
Your kids, it's different. Yeah, I totally get it.
But yeah, I don't know why that is, but I do hug guys and I just don't hug girls.
You know what? I love hugging. I hate cuddling. Isn't that weird?
That is a little weird.
It's
That's
a strange thing.
It's a distinction without a difference. How about that?
Yeah. But anyhow, I'm happy we ended on that note. I think you're awesome, and I love that people recognize. And it's been such a fun time being a part of your podcast. So anytime you ask me to be on, I'm always jumping at the opportunity. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it's never assumed that you're going to be on. I always ask Anna, would you come on the pod today so I can talk to you about this or that? Or you've been great on Fridays to do listener DMs.
I love it. And you know what? And I've had a fear of reading things out loud. I'm dyslexic, and how will people perceive me? But Scott's been so kind and encouraging and slow it down, do this, do that, and it's helped me with my confidence. Now I feel good about reading something out loud.
To that end, you just before we go, we'll do a little plug. You can hear us every morning on Light 92.1 FM in Southern Ontario. Big, massive radio station, real middle of the road format. We're not going to do anything too risque, but it's a good listen, good format, good music to have on. It's great. Anna this weekend is going to be taking a page out of my book. For the last number of weeks, I've been filling in on my old station, Z1035, because Z1035 and Light 92 are owned by the same owner. It's the same company.
Yeah.
And they're a little short-staffed over there. And in summertime, a lot of people are on vacation. And if I can help my friends there out by filling in, I don't mind doing that because I'm not busy anyway. I can handle that. But this weekend, you too are going to make your first appearance on Z1035.
I'm so excited. I grew up listening to Z1035, also tuning into Scott Fox on the radio, and now I get to be a part of something that I grew up listening to, and it's so full circle, and I'm so excited, and I'll be on from on Sunday 5 to 9.
Oh, yeah, I should point out, usually I'm on Sunday from 5 till 9.
Are.
However, I am going to be filling in for another new person. It's funny. We've got... we're trying out some new voices and stuff. And one of the broadcasters that used to work for me as an intern when I was doing mornings in Toronto was a guy named Richie Favalero. And Richie, after he was done his internship on my show, went off and had a very long and illustrious career at Chum FM. Well, there's some changes at Chum, too. And Richie's not there anymore. Now he's back doing weekends at Z1035, but he's off this weekend. So I'm covering for Richie on Sunday from 10 until 3, 9 until 2, and you're on from 5 until 9, which is the slot I'm normally on.
Yeah, so I'm filling in for you, who you are filling in for someone else, and someone else is filling in for someone else. But that's the joys. It's summertime, baby.
Have a great weekend, friends. Thank you for listening to this Listener DM episode. I'll catch you right back here Monday with more. Oh,